Internal Revenue Service IRS Tax News. Act by Wednesday for chance to get quicker economic impact payment. Timeline for payments continues to accelerate. IR 2020-92, May 8, 2020, Washington. With a variety of steps underway to speed economic impact payments, the Treasury Department and the Internal Revenue Service urged people to use Get My Payment. There's a tool or a link to the Get My Payment tool here. There'll be a link to this in the description. Back to the text. By Wednesday, May 13th, for a chance to get a quicker delivery. The IRS, working in partnership with Treasury Department and Bureau of Fiscal Services, BFS, continues to accelerate work to get economic impact payments to even more people as soon as possible. Approximately 130 million individuals have already received payments worth more than $200 billion in the program's first 4 weeks. Starting later this month, the number of paper checks being delivered to taxpayers will sharply increase. So they're talking about the paper checks now. So once again, let's read that one more time. Starting later this month, the number of paper checks being delivered to taxpayers will sharply increase. For many taxpayers, the last chance to obtain a direct deposit of their economic impact payment rather than receive a paper check is coming soon. So this is the last push to basically say, hey, look, we'd like to get the deposit out there sooner. We could do so if we were not to have the paper check and to have the direct deposit. That would get the money out faster, which is part of the objective, or normally part of the objective with these stimulus packages. And let me just give a little bit of my perspective on why the payments are going out and how it's a little bit different than what we have seen in the past. Because we have seen this in the past. We've seen the IRS basically sending out checks for to stimulate the economy is going to be generally the goal. But notice the goal might be a little bit different here because it's really to put people's mind at ease at this point in time and give them money to pay the short-term expenses, as opposed to basically the normal thing that we see, which is the economy is down for whatever reason. The IRS sends out stimulus checks, and the idea there being to stimulate the economy, meaning people will take those checks and spend them rather than save them, possibly on goods that they don't necessarily need at that point in time, because the idea is that if you get spending up, then the economy will increase. But at this point in time, obviously, the economy can't really increase as long as it's artificially shut down. So obviously these checks are a little bit different in that way. I just think it's interesting to look at because the checks are going out really kind of just to give people a sense of security, as opposed to what normally is happening, which is to stimulate the economy, to have growth increase. And I mean, the whole point is right now they're not allowing growth to increase. And so it's just a little bit different than normal, but I just think that's an interesting thing. As this goes forward, as they open up, then the stimulus payments might be going out more, and then you'd have kind of a normal type of objective, which you're hoping the stimulus payments go out and people go out and spend it, go out to restaurants and whatnot, and because that would be increasing the economy, or the flow of the money in the economy is the normal kind of objective. But in any case, back to the text. People should visit Get My Payment on irs.gov by noon Wednesday, May 13th to check on payment status and, when available, provide their direct deposit information. So, and the other thing is, obviously, the IRS also wants to send out the check faster because they have, the social distancing is affecting them as well. So they're trying to process the electronic checks, which would take less, people that would be in the IRS actually processing the paper checks. So in other words, the paper checks will take longer. It's better for the IRS. It's easier for the IRS. It complies with the social distancing type of things if they could do the direct deposit information and get the checks out in that way. Back to the text. We're working hard to get more payments quickly to taxpayers, end quote, said Commissioner Chuck Reddick, quote, "We want people to visit Get My Payment before the noon Wednesday deadline so they can provide their direct deposit information. Time is running out for a chance to get these payments several weeks earlier through direct deposit," end quote. After noon Wednesday, the IRS will begin preparing millions of files to send to BFS for paper checks that will begin arriving through late May and into June. So if you don't get the direct deposit information, obviously it'll last longer. So if you get in there by Wednesday, give them the direct deposit information, you'll get the check faster. If not, they're going to be processing the checks by the paper check and sending them out where they're saying it's going to be late May and into June for the paper checks. Back to the text. Taxpayers who use Get My Payment before the cutoff can still take advantage of entering direct deposit information. How Get My Payment works. The Get My Payment tool provides eligible taxpayers with a projected economic impact payment deposit date. The information is updated once daily, usually overnight. There is no need to check more than once a day. So they're going to update this tool basically once a day. So if you're checking this tool and say, hey, where's the payment? You want to check it once a day because there's no need to check it more than that because they're only updating it at that once a day. So maybe twice a day max, right? You can check it in the morning and then in the evening to see if they updated it that day or just once in the evening. But back to the text. Taxpayers who did not choose direct deposit on their last tax return can use this tool to update bank account information to receive their payment by direct deposit, expediting receipt. So if you didn't file your tax return last time and give them your banking information, which means that would have happened if one, you got the payment by check, so you got an overpayment, they sent it back to you by check and you got a paper check, or two, you owed them money, in which case you wouldn't have given them your banking information, you would have given them a check. So if those two things are happening, then you can use the tool to provide them with your banking information, and that could provide the payment to go out faster through the direct deposit. Back to the text. Non-filers portal remains available. For those not required to file a federal tax return, the non-filers interpayment info tool helps them, there's a link to that here by the way, helps them submit basic information to receive an economic impact payment quickly to their bank account. So just remember, this tool is not actually filing a tax return. So this would be a tool that says, I didn't file 2018, I didn't file 2019, I didn't file them because I didn't need to file them, right? And so I didn't file those things, and I'm not receiving payments from some of these other institutions like Social Security, SSDI, CNP, and whatnot, because if you're working with those institutions, even if you didn't file a tax return because you're not required to, you'll still get the payment. So if you're under the point that you need to file a tax return and you're not getting payments from these other types of areas, then you may still want to use this tool, because you could still use the tool here and basically not file a tax return, but give the basic information so that the IRS has it and can then process the payment based on that. Back to the text. Developed in partnership between the IRS and the Free File Alliance, this tool provides a free and easy option for those who didn't receive Social Security retirement, survivor disability benefits, SSDI, railroad retirement benefits, supplemental security income, SSI, and VA compensation and pension CNP benefits. So again, basic format here. When would you use this tool? You didn't file 2018, you didn't file 2019, you didn't need to file either return, and you didn't get any payments from these other institutions which the IRS is working with. And if you are getting payments from them, the IRS should be able to work with them and still be able to process the economic impact payment without any further information. If none of those things qualify, the IRS doesn't have any information on you, and you would need to use this tool to give them that information in order to process the check. Back to the text. The non-filer tool is also available in Spanish. Eligible taxpayers who filed tax returns for 2019 or 2018 will receive the payments automatically. Automatic payments will also be sent to those receiving Social Security retirement, disability benefits, railroad retirement benefits, Veterans Affairs benefits, or supplemental security income soon. So if you're getting any of those benefits and or you filed your tax return, then you shouldn't have to do anything. They're just going to be shooting out a check to you at some point in time. So it's only those circumstances that are a bit unusual, in which case you'd have to provide that added information to get the payment. And you can use that tool to do so. Back to the text. Watch out for scams related to economic impact payments. The IRS urges taxpayers to be on the lookout for scams related to economic impact payments. To use the new app or get information, taxpayers will visit irs.gov. People should watch out for scams using email, phone calls, or text related to payments. Be careful and cautious. The IRS will not send unsolicited electronic communication asking people to open attachments, visit a website, or share personal financial information. So if you get anything, an email or a phone call, that's not typically how the IRS works. Usually if they're going to contact you at all, it'll typically be by mail. But even by mail, you want to be careful on that. And if they're asking for information directly or to open anything up on a link on an email, then you want to be aware of that. Don't do that because you want to go to the IRS website directly in order to check anything. And again, IRS doesn't typically communicate in that kind of way. So you're going to say, first of all, it's not a problem. But usually when they give you some kind of phishing thing like that, it usually has some kind of tricky thing of urgency about it that makes you feel like, wow, I got to check up on this thing. And that's the hook, right? So so if anything's saying, hey, we need your information now because we're processing this check like tomorrow, and if you don't give it to us, then you'll never see it again, or some kind of urgency thing, then what you want to do is then go to the IRS website directly, and then go research from there rather than going to the source. So if anyone's calling you on it, just hang up on them and then go to the IRS directly, right? And if you offend an IRS office agent, right, it's not the end of the world. And then just go to the website and check it out from the source. Back to the text. Stay informed with economic impact payment, frequently asked questions, FAQs, social media platform. Taxpayers should check the frequently asked payments FAQs for more information.